Hey guys, I thought you guys might enjoy this. I brought the small turtles, as I've been calling them, out here to the 300 gallon because it's currently filled with a bit of rainwater and it's really warm today. It's about, this water is about 70 to 68 degrees, so not the warmest thing. That's about the room temperature like the water temperature of the room temperature tanks in my room, but their tank is always heated because I want PD to eat. Um, so yeah, it's a little bit colder for them, but I figured this would be kind of like a cool enrichment thing. So we have Petey here, as you can see, he's walking around. And then there's a little red slider right over this rock here. And then it's just sitting there. And then this one looks like I explored a little bit. And it's sitting right there. Just the cutest little thing. But I think Petey really enjoys this, as you can see. He's just walking around. I just secured the filter. Yes, this is a trash can. Don't even care. It's going to be an awesome filter. I just put on these reinforcements to make sure it doesn't ever blow away, but it'll be like filled mostly with water, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. But obviously this will be filled up full for the big turtles, the 2 big turtles, that's it. But very soon I'll be taking in turtles again, so hopefully I'll get a bunch. I'm sure this virus thing will affect it. Not a lot of people are going to be wanting to meet people, but at the same time, some people might give this time to give up their turtles because they're just tired of them. That tends to happen. I don't get tired of these guys though. These are awesome. They're so little. You're right. Let's see if we can. Just the babies, especially, are just so tiny. Here, I'm gonna try to move this. See if we can get this guy to swim around. Go on. Again, this is colder than their normal habitat, so they might not be very happy with me. I'm sure if I put Lewis and or Petey in here, or Pee-wee, they would go wild. I was thinking about bringing Richard out here and letting him swim around. I give him soaks every once in a while, just because his enclosure is currently like no humidity whatsoever, and he's shedding, so that might be helpful. But I didn't want to because I do believe that he has some type of internal parasite, and I don't want that getting this water and then putting turtles in the water. I don't really exactly know the whole situation there, but it looks like it's moving around. I think this is completely new to it. As you can see, this isn't a whole lot of water, but it's like perfect for them. And then the other ones are moving around down there. This thing is just huge. I really do wonder how many gallons are in this currently. But I'm pretty excited for this tank once it'll be fully set up. There it is. Oh, it's so cute. Hope you guys can see. I know there's a lot of shade on this tank. I've been trying to keep a lot of shade on it so it doesn't algae bloom before I get the filter going, but I should be able to get the filter going pretty soon. Just need to clean it all up and set it up. I already have the biological media. I mean, it's not filtered or whatever, or cycled. And I have the poly filter as well. And I have the pump, so I'm just gonna make the thing, and it should actually be proper for this size tank now, so that should be interesting. And then I plan to have some plants coming up. I want to go get some grasses and stuff from Lowe's, and then possibly grow them out of the top. I currently have this in here, and this just looks awesome, by the way. Like this in an aquarium, holy wow. Actually, I might need to do that because that would be the coolest thing that's ever existed. So that might be happening now, but for now it's going to be going in here, and I'll see how that goes, just because it's so cool. So it has this thing right here going down for it, and then it has that as well, and then it's hollow on the inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pot, right, and like move this out and then pin the pot in between, kind of make it rest on this, and then I'll have plants growing out. Oh man, it'll look amazing. Very exciting. But there they are. Again, I'm pretty sure PD enjoys this the most, but the little turtles I'm surprised they're not like going around. I have put them in the big turtle tank before, just for like a little while, once when I was doing water changes, just to, while water was really down low, just to see them really be able to swim like a lot, because, I mean, honestly, I don't see anything wrong. Oh, it's coming. Just going right out in the middle. I don't see a lot of problem with keeping turtles in deep water, like baby turtles. I've never tried it because I've never really kept baby turtles before. These are the first ones, and they're not even really babies at this point. But I did keep little tiny babies. Once we found them, they were painted turtles, and my friend's mother actually kept them in her classroom for educational purposes, and then I convinced them to let them go because I don't really think turtles should be taken from the wild. But I did have them for a little while before, or at some point. I think I kept them for a little while, then they got them from me to put in the classroom, and then we released them eventually. But other than that, this is my only experience with like baby turtles, and the reason that I don't see any problem with keeping them in like deep water is because where we found the baby painted turtles, it was in a lake, of course. So I don't know if lakes are pretty deep, actually, if you didn't know that. So obviously they're going to stay more on the shore, but even at the shore, it's a couple feet deep. So it just, I don't know. And it was like a really brush filled area. Like, it's not like a beach shore where there's nothing. It was, filled with plants and everything, lots of debris to hide in and stuff. So that's obviously important. One thing with maybe if you kept them in like deeper water, to have something that they could walk up or kind of climb up the side of, if that made sense. Looks like that one's about to maybe bite the wood. Man, I really hope you guys can see this. I can't really see through my phone camera currently, but they're just the cutest things to watch. And then we also found a baby snapping turtle, and it was in a river, which was also quite deep. And we let it go, and it swam just fine in the river. I mean, we found it in the river, and we let it go right away. I didn't want to mess with that. It's actually, I do believe it's illegal to take common snapping turtles out of the wild in Ohio, unless they're like over 13 inches. So I think it's the same with softshell turtles. Now, I'm not like positive on that, but that is what I've read on whatever law pages or whatever, just trying to do research about it. But we also had a smaller baby common snapping turtle that was smaller than Petey there, but bigger than these guys, and it was quite small. It was about like the inner part of my hand when we got it, and then it was like the full palm of my hand when we gave it back. It was to somebody that couldn't keep it for a little while, and that was while I was taking in turtles. And then like a couple months later, we gave it back. It was much bigger when we gave it back, but they had found it in like a sump pump, so like under somebody's house, and they went ahead and kept it for like the winter, and then the summer again, and then like another winter. I don't know. So I don't really know what the deal is with that. I mean, if an animal's a pest, as far as I know, and it's on your property, then you can pretty much do whatever you want with it, but I don't really know that for sure. Like, as far as I know, if it's like, I don't know. That's what I think, but I'm not sure about that. I don't go around taking or doing anything with animals very often from the wild. Now, if there was one that needed help in some way, some type of care, then I would go ahead and do that for it. But I don't run into that situation very often, so I pretty much leave wild animals wild and keep captive animals captive. Not that I'm against wild catching if it is necessary for conservation. It's just that there's a lot of turtles that need to be cared for in the hobby. There's a lot of people that need them taken in. As example, all 3 of these turtles and the other 3 turtles that I own, and any turtles I've ever owned, really. When I was younger, I had one that we took from the wild, but we eventually let it go. That was much younger. But all the turtles I've had recently, since I've started really keeping and getting into reptiles, they've all been rescues. So I definitely know. I think at some point I had like 10 turtles, and any turtles that I've had, I've rehomed to as far as I know, very good homes. I made sure beforehand that they had like either, I think one went to a tank and the rest of the ones that I rehomed went to ponds, like naturalistic, like ponds, like decorative ponds, not just huge ponds. Because I think that kind of scares people sometimes when people would keep domesticated turtles, captive turtles, in huge ponds, let them go in on their property. I would love to do that at some point. Just have a huge pond where I keep like a ton of red-eared sliders. Somebody needs me to take a red-eared slider, I just go ahead and put it there. That'd be fantastic. But I don't have that currently. Here you might be able to see the turtle down there. Can't tell if you can, but I hope you can, because it's swimming around down there. I think this could be really cool. Oh man, there it is. You kind of see its head. I think so, maybe. It's down in there. I think this piece could be really cool in here because I will have goldfish, and the turtles shouldn't really be able to go inside. Maybe Lewis, but I doubt it. Mainly just the goldfish could go inside, and I feel like that'd be really cool. And oh man, I could put the pump in there as well. Oh man, this is fantastic. This will be really cool. So I can have the pump in there as well, maybe, to kind of hide that. But I'm really hoping that I can somehow figure out how on this tank to keep it so it doesn't get green. I'm hoping that this better filtration might help, but also I'm thinking of trying to get, like I said, getting grasses and stuff to really fill the surface up. Try to just try to get the least amount of sunlight to the water, which is kind of might kind of sound like a weird plan, but I think that would definitely help the algae and stuff. And then the plants would also take nutrients that the algae isn't taking. But the thing is with this is I'm not going to do water changes on this. So I mean, I did last summer, which last summer is the first time I set this up. So I have time to grow and figure this out, and also other ponds to do. Might talk to Shelled Reptiles. He has a lot more outside ponds than I do, and he does really well with them. So I might try to figure out what he's doing there. But I think at that point he probably just has like quite good filtration. I think that's really the deal with his ponds. So I'll try my DIY filtrations. I am DIY reptiles. I'll keep trying with the DIY and figure out how to do it. I know I bought a $60-$70 pump that pumps 1,600 gallons per hour, so that'll hopefully do well for this pump, and for this tank, this 300 gallons, and then the filter that I'm building should support quite a large tank. That's the idea. So this trash looking filter, literally trash looking filter up there, it should support a pretty big tank like this, but I don't know, maybe I need UVB sterilizers, who knows. I'm sure somebody does. I probably could use more beneficial bacteria. Last time I had some wood in here and stuff, but maybe I need gravel. I don't know. Just things that maybe I could use to do better, but it should be interesting. The probably real reason that I don't do so well with the filtration is because I have so many goldfish. That's another thing that a lot of people need taken in. I have 15 goldfish, I do believe, and the thing with them is I only took them in from one person, and I think since then like one or two might have died, like possibly. I think one died on the way home, and then one died from my turtle Norman, but other than that they've all been doing very well since I got them from them, and they are absolutely massive. It's just insane how big goldfish get. Like it really is just their size. They get massive, up to like a foot long sometimes. Mine are probably around 10, 12, or 8 to 12 inches long, somewhere around there, including all their finnage and everything. Just quite large fish for what people think are just throwaway pets, which I mean, I think goldfish are pretty cool, honestly, but it's hard to keep them. Like, I don't really understand how people do keep them. The only way I could see to do it is in a pond, or I mean, maybe a 55-gallon tank at the bare minimum, like for a lot of goldfish. I just don't really see another way. They get so big, and I just don't think people realize that, especially when they're trying to feed them to turtles. I had that issue. Obviously, you're not supposed to do that. I mean, maybe not obviously, but goldfish and minnows and stuff, I guess, aren't the best thing for turtles or fish. They're just not very good to feed to other animals because of different, their makeup and everything. But before I knew that, like I said, I had a turtle a really long time ago that we found. I think it might have been injured, honestly, but it was probably a little bit worse for the wear after we got rid of it. We didn't keep it with UVB, so that really screwed it up. But or got rid of it after we let it back into the wild. Where is it going? Yes, we got 3 goldfish, and the goldfish were too fast for it. So they quickly really destroyed that tank because they're just so dirty and everything that they just made it way worse to keep. And I mean, once you have them, what are you gonna really do with them? They just keep growing and stuff. And like, no, they don't grow to the size of your tank. Nothing does that. Oh man, that just hurts to hear people think that. They'll just, I mean, if you keep them in too small of a tank, which the majority of people do, well, they could be stunted, but they could also be deformed at that point if you keep them in that type of environment long enough. Like, I kept them in a 20-gallon tank, and there's 3 goldfish, and they wouldn't have. That's not enough for 3 goldfish. No way. They'll get huge, but they didn't. They grew a lot. They didn't get to the size of the ones I have now. The ones I have now are very large. So just different things. These guys will get huge. PD won't. He's probably about adult size. If not, then maybe a couple more inches. I highly doubt that he'll grow a whole lot, but he has many years to live from now, so we'll see. He's definitely a permanent stay here. I really like PD. But these red-eared sliders will get very large. I have one inside, like I said, Pee-wee, the one that I got the goldfish with. She's about 2.5 pounds, which I guess is kind of hard. She's like 8 inches across on her shell. I did have a bigger red-eared slider in the past. I think he was similar weight, but his size was just larger. And they do get like the size of like a dinner plate, as people seem to say. So little babies are cute, but they're gonna get huge. So that's why I'd like to only rehome them to like ponds and stuff. I think that there's not a whole lot of people that want 75-gallon to 150-gallon tank in their room or in their house. So, and that's just for like one of these guys. I mean, honestly, I don't think the 10 gallons per inch is exact, especially if you're having multiple turtles. I think that if you had, 2 10-inch turtles, which would just be huge, and I just have a hard time believing that you'd have 2 like really nice ones that could live together. But say you had 2 10-inch turtles, you wouldn't need a 200-gallon tank, in my opinion. I think you would just need preferably with that, like at least 125-gallon. But so they don't get that big, and I know that there's turtles that don't get that big, because I have a 20+ year old red-eared slider, and it is I want to say like 7-8 inches. That's Norman, and granted, he was raised in very less than optimal conditions. He was in a much too small tank. Actually, it's the same size tank that these little guys are in now. And I would rather these guys in a bigger tank. So, I guess you could say that goes with they'll get the size of the tank that they stay in. But even if they do, like I said, they'll be deformed and just not doing well. That's just not the way to do it. So eventually these guys will go into this tank. I will not have the babies in here because of the goldfish. First of all, they're vicious. My other turtles are very large, and it would just be hard to keep track of these guys in here. And then most of all is because of the pump. It's so fast, and I'm just scared that they would get stuck in like the intake, and that would just be terrible. And I want, like I said, I want to keep track of them. It's hard enough to keep track of the big turtles in this huge tank, so especially it being outside and all. So PD won't go in here either. He'll probably go in whatever they go into, and that'll probably be a 55 gallon out here, not filled all the way up, because like I said, this is like I said, this is kind of the optimal amount of water for them, this height of water. Now I could definitely like double this, I think. Yeah, that would probably be the ultimate height, the best height for these three turtles. PD doesn't seem to like deep water. And you see how he's walking around? That's what he does no matter if this tank was all the way filled, he'd still just walk around the bottom and have a lot of trouble getting to the top. I don't know what the deal is with that, but I'm not going to risk, I'm not going to sacrifice his basking and eating just for more water that he won't even use. So that's kind of my thinking there. I'd put him in the 125 gallon, but he'd just stay on the bottom all the time, and he wouldn't be able to eat anything because the other turtles would get it first, and he wouldn't be able to bask because he doesn't go to the top. I mean, he does, and to breathe and everything, but it's hard for him, and I don't know why, but that's just how he is. So I'm going to keep him in a smaller amount of water, maybe make a cool polyudarium for him or something. I think that would be very, very cool. And then these little guys are, as I said, generally you keep baby turtles in a small amount of water to make sure they're eating and basking, same reasons, and you can monitor them. So I think that's the real reason. So if I ever do breed turtles and I have a lot of babies coming, like a lot of the time, maybe I will set them up in something larger and try to test out that idea of if they have like the background to crawl up as they're swimming up, because they can do that and that makes it easier. It's easier than just running to glass all the way to the top of the tank. That might be a good plan, but I think I'm actually going to bring these guys in now. I have some stuff to do. I've been filming this for quite a while, and hopefully the wind hasn't affected the audio. I don't know. We'll see when I go to edit, but I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Actually, I'm going to leave these guys out here. They seem to be enjoying themselves. I think that's pretty cool. I'm going to go in and work on my room. So have a fantastic day. Subscribe if you want to.